Hello Year 2 and welcome back to the second part of our story, The Secret of Black Rock. Let's have a look at our narrative map. Now remember, every day we're going to look at Erin and have a look at where she is at what part of the story. Yesterday, well, it wasn't good. Can you see we're in the negative part of the story? And I'd say it was about a -5 because that fog grew thick. She was scared, wasn't she? Well, today it's going to get even worse because I wonder what's going to happen. Can you guess? Well, let's see if we can think today of lots of negative adjectives to show where Erin is in the story. So can we see what's happening in our story? Now for each chunk of writing today, let's have a look what I'm looking for. Chunk number 1, we're going to be looking for really good adjectives. But remember, we're at a negative side of our story. We are looking for negative adjectives. We've done that in the class. And in our second chunk, we're back to a simile. Can we write a simile, do we think, for our second chunk of writing? And in our third chunk of writing, we're going to be going into Erin's mind and we're going to be writing an inner thought. So let's get started. So let's think about what's happened. We are in thick fog and look what's appeared in front of Erin. Can you recognise it? It's the black rock. And we're going to think of words to show how immense, how large and how threatening this black rock is. Now I've started with the fact that the black rock towered over her. Let's think of what other adjectives we can use to describe this very, very frightening rock. Well, it could be described as monstrous. Come on, you can think of some of your own adjectives as well. What one's next? Well, I've got, it's quite eerie. Remember, there's a fog around and suddenly we're coming towards something which we don't know anything, or Erin doesn't know anything about. Can you start thinking of some more adjectives now? Start shouting them out at the computer. I've got sinister. That's a good word. Sinister means that something is really quite scary, frightening, and very serious. We've also got the fact that it's huge. We're thinking of adjectives. Look at that rock, boys and girls. Think of what you would use to describe the rock. I'm going to come up with some more, but I want you to come up with some of your own as well. Intimidating. What does that mean? If something's intimidating, you are slightly worried by it. It's something which is quite powerful and is making you feel this small. Jagged. Well, yes, when we look at the rock, it is quite a jagged rock, isn't it? It's very sharp on the edges. Have a look here. Look at these sharp jutting edges out on that rock, on the rock edge. We've got colossal. Now we used that to describe our pirate ship, didn't we? Because colossal means huge, and the black rock looks huge. It's getting bigger and bigger. There we go, as we're going towards it. Now this rock is awaiting Erin. So it's towering over her. It's awaiting her. And what's happening here with the words that I'm choosing? Well, we're going to do a bit of sneaky personification. Can you remember personification? It's quite fun actually, isn't it? Here's personification, the symbol that we use in class. It's quite fun because what we're going to do is make this monstrous, intimidating, colossal rock almost come to life, like it's a person. So this rock is waiting for Erin. It's towering over Erin. It is looming over. Now I've got ed, so because we are thinking of our stories in past tense. So although I'm saying ing, actually what we need to remember, past tense, it loomed over Erin. It awaited Erin. It towered over Erin. It dominated the sea. It threatened Erin. So what have we got now? We've got lots and lots of different adjectives to describe black rock. You might think of some better ones of your own. Let's see how we can put them in a sentence, and if you've chosen your own, how you are going to put those in a sentence. I've started with another adverb. Suddenly I've chosen. Suddenly, and I've chosen a huge, dark shape. So I used the word dark. I didn't come up with it up here, but you can choose 2 words to describe your rock. So the first part of your sentence, I want you to describe suddenly a huge, dark shape. You might choose suddenly a jagged, colossal shape. You might have some of your own. Loomed. So we're going to make this shape come alive. So it loomed over Erin. You might put it awaited. Or maybe suddenly a huge dark shape threatened. You choose which one you want. I've gone with loomed. Suddenly a huge dark shape loomed in the boat's path. I want you to write this chunk telling me, or telling the reader, what this rock looked like. I want you to tell me how it suddenly appeared. Describe the rock for me. Try writing the sentence as I have done. Suddenly, a huge, dark shape loomed in the boat's path. You can, if you want, just take out the adjectives and then put in your own. So over to you. Pause the video, write your sentence, and then we'll move on to the third chunk. Now for our next chunk, it's our chance to write a simile. So we've personified the rock and we've said that it's waiting for Erin. Now we're going to compare the rock with something which is kind of threatening. You see the one I've chosen here? The black rock, a hungry vulture. Now why have I chosen vulture? Why have I said hungry vulture? Well, vulture because it's black, black rock. Let's think of the things which are quite threatening, which we can compare the black rock to. Maybe a black hunting jaguar, or panther, sorry, it's a panther. A black hunting panther. Or maybe a black imprisoning chain or iron chain. Maybe it's a black, we would have to say black, maybe we should choose a different adjective there. Maybe it's a dark, hungry murder of crows waiting. Like a murder of crows waiting in the distance. We've got to use like a, haven't we, because it's a simile. Or maybe it's like a black bubbling cauldron. A black bubbling witch's cauldron. So it was a rock as black as, and now you can choose your simile. You might have a better one than the ones I've come up with, it's up to you. So it was a rock as black as, what would you compare the black rock to? It might be a bat, anything at all, but it's got to be, remember, we are writing a negative side of the story. So it's got to be a negative adjective. It's got to make us frightened or make us feel worried. So it was a black rock. It was a rock as black as a hungry vulture, as black as a hunting panther, as black as a bubbling witch's cauldron. You choose which simile you want to use. It's up to you. I've added on to mine. And again, if you want to deepen the moment, you can add on to your simile. So I've said it was a rock as black as a hungry vulture, circling for prey, to make it a bit more threatening. Could you make yours more threatening? If you've used panther, do you want to say waiting to pounce, hiding in the mist? If it's the trains, it might be ready to lock you down. It's up to you. Think about how you could deepen the moment if you want to add to your simile. Have a think. And now we move on to chunk number 3. So we are now going to see the rock through Erin's eyes. We're going to write an inner thought for Erin. What would you feel if you were suddenly in this mist heading towards the mysterious black rock and you've only heard really frightening things about it? Now, I've come up with, well, not that I've come up with yet. We are going to make sure today in this chunk of writing we use an exclamation. This is going to be quite important, but we might also use a question mark at the end of our sentence. Let's think, what might Erin be thinking? Is she asking herself something, or is she making a oh my gosh exclamation sentence? What would you think if you were coming towards the rock? We're going to crash! Exclamation. Maybe, oh my goodness. Maybe, what a nightmare. Help. All these are exclamations. These are urgency. They are thoughts which are making Erin want to react very quickly. So have you come up with your own thought that Erin might be thinking, which ends in an exclamation? Or she might be asking a question. What shall we do? This is panic. She might be saying this desperately. How would she say these things? So we know that we're writing her in a thought, but we need to say to the reader, how is she thinking this? Because she's not going to be, oh, we're going to crash slowly. It will be desperately, or hopelessly, or maybe anxiously, helplessly, hysterically. All these are quite ambitious words, but think about how Erin is thinking these thoughts. How would you be thinking? This is awful. Remember the exclamation. So I've started with this is awful. Can you see? Thought Erin. So we need to tell the reader that she's not shouting this out. She's thinking it. She's on the boat and Mum doesn't know that she's there. So this is awful, thought Erin. Desperately. Here is where I've put in my adverb to show the reader how Erin is thinking these thoughts. Now I'm going to end with a question. What on earth am I going to do now? So I want you, for your third chunk, to write what Erin is thinking. I want you to use either an exclamation or a question, depending on the sentence that you choose or you come up with yourself. It's up to you how you write this sentence. If you want to use an adverb, to show the reader how desperate she is, then please do. It's over to you now. Good luck with your chunks of writing today, and I look forward to reading them later. Bye for now.